Today's episode of the FHIR TL DW video series provides a summary overview of a DevDays panel discussion related to the use of AI by patients. The usual caveat, any sudden or strange jumps in the presentation are caused by my video editing, so don't blame the speakers.
People need to realize patients are end users of AI. We are not just the people sitting here at the end of the production line after developers develop things and hospitals use them. We have 5 categories of patient use cases, and I just learned today from Chetan, who will be speaking today, he's got additional ones. The first is patient administrative burden. Second category, organizing records for action. I don't know if all of you have been good empowered patients and read your medical records, but here's an example of one of my visit notes from last year. And I looked at this because another visit was coming up, and I thought, what was I supposed to be doing? And I started digging, and then I thought, oh, holy crap. I pasted it into GPT with a clever prompt, and it came back and said, here's what's going on, dude. Next example, comprehension. Difficult diagnosis. You may have heard last year, this kid at age 4 stopped developing properly and started developing nasty problems. 17 doctors over 3 years couldn't figure it out. Mom got tired of it all last August and pasted all the radiology reports into GPT, and it came back with what turned out to be the correct diagnosis. And then finally, exploring knowledge and options.
Quickly give you a sense of my experience as a patient in dealing with data. So this is me. I have a genetic type of heart muscle disease called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. I'm also a caregiver to my dad, who is 94 years old. This photo is taken a few years ago. And I've been using AI language models for about a year, a little longer than a year. In my experience going over this process over the last year or so, I realized that there are many barriers, and data is an enormous barrier. So I think that when patients truly have their data and can use it, we have a tool in our hands that can be transformational for all of us. Really, the potential is incredible in my view. I'm such an enthusiast about this, incredible in my view. So I envision this world in which patients are empowered to take control of our health and just a tad more intelligent with these tools about the decisions that we make. And I also hope that AI holds the potential to untether us from a system that is, quite frankly, costly, too complex, and inefficient. And it doesn't always work for patients.
And I wanted to share one specific example of how I was able to use AI in my own care. I recently had an outpatient procedure for which I received a pretty hefty bill, which seemed a little bit off to me. And I was able to access my explanation of benefits from my insurance company, as well as the note from my doctor, thanks to the 21st Century Cures Act, and that information being available in my patient portal. And I just put those into ChatGPT, and I said, hey, does this bill look right to you? And I tried a variety of prompts saying, you are an expert medical coder versus just, does this look right to you? And the way in which we prompt can lead to different output, and I think there's a lot of education and room for experimentation to really help patients make the most of AI. And so for myself, when I put this in, found that there were, in fact, errors in the codes for my bill, and I was able to identify opportunities for savings. And then I was able to ask ChatGPT to write a letter to my doctor, to my insurance company, which I was able to help use in negotiating, reducing that bill. And that is just using out-of-the-box ChatGPT without any specific knowledge, but it was able to understand some of the complexities of medical coding.
So now that we've heard some interesting ways that patients use AI, let's view some extracts from the panel discussion.
Doctors are using AI tools as well. They're starting to experiment with it, but also are not experts in using it. And oftentimes, many activated patients may have a lot more experience and advances in using an LLM more so than their doctor. And so I am optimistic of a new era in the doctor-patient relationship when it comes to looking for additional knowledge and collaboration because of some of the changes in power dynamics and hierarchy that may be possible by introducing LLMs, AI into the room.
And all I can add is we're going to need a boatload of change in medical education, teaching doctors how to not only work with patients who don't know anything, but also work with patients who know a whole lot of stuff. So it just changes the whole thing, the whole level of everything.
With FHIR, with being able to access medical records as made possible by the 21st Century Cures Act, we have more, we as patients have access to more of this information, but it's still messy, it may be incomplete, only partially there, but that's sometimes also the case on the clinician's end. And with the advances now, there's a lot of work for health systems and new tools of AI-based documentation. Perhaps we can get to a better place in which patients' voices, patients' identification of errors or identifications of things that were misrepresented could more readily be amended in records.
I have this thing about, so shared decision making, it's wonderful. It's lovely, it's great, and I hope I have that. But like I said, most of my time I feel like I'm left to my own devices, and I have to make decisions. We all have to make these decisions. Sometimes they are not as impactful or significant micro decisions that impact our lives. Sometimes there are bigger decisions on health. Should I go to the emergency room? But the way I use these LLMs is I bounce off a lot of, I use all of them, or most of them. I haven't used Llama as much. But all of the others, I'm a paid subscriber, and I try to get as much as I can from these. One of the services I use quite a bit is Perplexity, only because it does provide the references. I use Google Notebook LM quite often to help me think through a multitude of data that it may not make a whole lot of sense to me. I use Claude to help me write better prompts for GPT. I use GPT to help me write prompts for Claude. So to me, it's an ecosystem in the way I use these tools. But ultimately, I decide. Maybe I'm making the wrong decisions, such as life. We make mistakes sometimes. But I'm not looking to be the owner of the truth. I'm not looking to be in charge of the decision that is the right decision. I'm trying to do my best. And I know that I'm a little bit smarter with these tools at my disposal.
Patients will use AI, and the panel did stress the importance of actually having access to the FHIR version of their data instead of unstructured PDFs. Imagine you had an LLM that was trained to process FHIR-based data, and then you could seed such an LLM with, let's say, all of the FHIR data that describes your lifetime medical record. You would be able to have an LLM conversation effectively with the contents of your entire EMR. That certainly sounds useful. But it will indeed depend on us as the FHIR community to make such data available via FHIR-based APIs. As a FHIR educator, I am pleased to offer you best practices and interesting viewpoints in this video series. Please visit our blog for additional TLW videos.